All right, everybody, we are back with Rockland News' Snowpocolypse episodes. Oh my goodness, the horrors! There's so many different people in the supermarkets and on the roads right now, and you have to get home. You gotta get the bread and milk. You gotta get the bread and milk. Make sure that you are insulated for Sunday and Monday because we got a lot of cold weather and some crazy snowing conditions potentially happening on Sunday and Monday. Coming up on Rockland News today, we will have roundtables with many of our supervisors from the county of Rockland, as well as updates from the county's highway department. First of all, let's get into the weather report. We'll have Pat Pagano on momentarily, and thank you for being here today. And we'll mention our sponsors after the weather report because we know that's the thing that you need to hear right now. Here we go.
Sun and clouds and windy today, middle 30s. Partly cloudy, brisk, icy cold tonight, close to 10 above. Partly cloudy, windy, bone-chilling cold Saturday, 15 to 20. Snow Sunday, heavy at times at the Sunday night, with accumulations ranging anywhere from 8 inches if it mixes with sleet to as much as 14 inches elsewhere. Highs 20 to 25. Snow ending Monday morning, windy 30. Partly cloudy Tuesday, breezy mid-20s. Sun
And that was Pat Pagano. He is a meteorologist from Long Island. And for this episode, we wanted to make sure that we weren't prognosticating inaccurately. So we brought in some professional meteorologists. And it's actually notable before I bring on our first guest. I wanted to note something on the wake of this potential storm that's happening over the weekend. One of our colleagues from the WRCR days unfortunately passed away last week. And I'd like to make a mention of him. Mark Hannock was a meteorologist for WRCR radio for many, many years. I had the opportunity to work and collaborate with him for several years while WRCR radio was over at Clover Stadium. And he was just a really gentle soul. But I have to tell you, his weather forecasts were very accurate. There's a legend about what you call his long-range weather forecasts. He was a graduate of anthropology from Purchase College in 1988, followed by a master's degree in literacy from SUNY Oneonta in 2002. Many years with WRCR, and he really defined a critical chapter in WRCR's time, especially over at Clover Stadium. So I just wanted to note that may Mark Hannock rest in peace, and well done job, sir. Well done job. I'd like to introduce our first guest today, Town of Orangetown Supervisor Teresa Kenny. Teresa, thanks for being on the show today.
My pleasure. Good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've been on the show before. I would imagine that Orangetown is certainly preparing for the Sunday, Monday possible, as we're calling it around here, the Snowpocolypse.
What is there snow coming? Did I miss something?
Yeah, it must have been on some sort of broadcast somewhere.
Yeah, no, there's definitely snow coming because I drove by near ShopRite and there is, you would think that people are going to be holed up for quite some time because I was told there's no milk left is what somebody told me.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
But
well, I'm glad we got the almond milk over here. I should be able to take care of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And hold it down. But it's the supply chain is definitely something that is of note. And how's the highway department doing in your neck of the woods right now?
Listen, they're doing a great job. You may have noticed that every weekend we've been getting snowstorms. So these guys are working long hours, which goes to the point when we tell people to try and surf the roads. It's obviously the roads could be slippery, but we really want to give our guys as much space as they need. They're working sometimes overnight. They're working long hours. So to the extent everyone can surf the roads, they are doing a great favor to our snowplow operators.
Yeah, absolutely. And in an operation like this, I mean, and I'm learning as we go along, of course. And I've heard from various supervisors about the salt that has to be popped onto the roads, and I think timed at the right time, because if you pop the salt on the roads too early, too many drivers will go by and it'll just kind of, the wind from the cars will knock it off the roads. Is that accurate or?
Yeah, I know this. I know that my superintendent of highways, they have a resource that tells them like the weather, I mean like the temperature of the pavement. So they can gauge when it has to go on. Because again, you don't want it to be, get too far, before you put it on. So they have it down to a science. Fortunately for the people of the town of Orangetown, Jimmy Dean's been in the highway department, I think 60 years. So if anybody has it down, Jim Dean has it down. Yeah, and they do a great job, but they do the brining, they do a lot to keep us safe out there.
Yeah, and the trucks that you have to use in order to, make sure that everything's evenly distributed, that is certainly a chore in itself to make sure that those trucks are maintained and well put together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, any other things going on over? I know that the 250th year celebration of the United States. I believe that you are the first of the 5 towns, if I'm not mistaken, to announce. Uh, I think you got July 4th for this year.
We do. We do. We have we partnered with some of the other local fire departments and other groups, and we are having a parade, and then we're going to have a festival at the German Masonic grounds afterwards. But it's going to end early enough so people can go to the Pearl River fireworks, or I think Piermont may be having fireworks that night, or whoever is having fireworks. We didn't want to
Yeah,
step on
yeah.
anybody's toes, so it's going to end early enough that people can get their way over to where they want to go watch the fireworks. So yeah, they've been working on it for a while. We have a committee of very dedicated people working on it, and it is sure to be a great time. So put it on your calendar, July 4th.
I love those Masonic grounds. I was down there for the Italian food festival last year. Half of me is Italian, half of me is Colombian. The Juan Valdez Colombians, not the Pablo Escobars. We like the coffee and such. Always have to use that as a disclaimer for some reason, but yeah, the food and the ambiance over at the Masonic grounds is very excellent.
It's great.
Any plans for music during that event, or?
I'm not letting out any of our secrets quite yet. I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there will be, but I don't know. The committee gives me updates occasionally. I know that they're working on, aids to the Grand Marshal and a lot of great things for the parade. So stay tuned.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always love when we get those little bites of information, and honestly, it's not like we're contacting lawyers in the middle of the day. It's like, how did this transaction go down? But exciting news, like for instance, when the a few months ago when the Nanuet Town Center, and they're starting a rebranding process, and I just kind of fell in my lap, and I was like, all right, let's announce this. And I heard some of the other reporters were a little bit miffed about that, but just gotta.
You got the scoop. You're saying you got the inside scoop. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it was just that particular one, and I was just doing it in the course of the job that we do. It's like, okay, we got this news, and it showed up, and then I found out that some of the reporters were a little bit upset afterwards. So most of them, I'm sorry, but some of them, I'm not sorry.
Yeah. That's the name of the game,
Yep. Yeah. So I'm learning as I go along.
Yep.
Any other events that are happening over the next several months? I know Valentine's Day is just around the corner. Other events happening?
Yeah, I can tell you the town is not hosting a parade for Valentine's Day, so you can not worry about that.
Can't blame you.
Other events going on. We don't have the date yet, but we are planning, and it's a good time to think about it because we're in the middle of the winter and we've had enough. We're planning another fundraiser at our splash pad, and it's going to be called the Dog Days of Summer. And we're going to allow people to bring their dogs to go into the splash pit. You're going to pay because it's a fundraiser for the Hudson Valley Humane Society. So we're going to allow people to bring their dogs because normally they're not allowed, needless to say, on the splash pad. So that's going to be a fun event we're looking forward to doing. We just have to work on a date still, but we'll let you know so you can get it out there that what we're doing. We like to do a couple of fundraiser like once a year or so on the splash pad because it's really for the kids, so we have to give the adults an excuse to actually go there and not make fools of themselves. So that's what we came up with for early summer. We have to make it warm enough. We did one in the fall. It was just too cold. People didn't want to go. I went in, but a lot of people didn't want to go in for obvious reasons. So
yeah, it's a little bit of a risk because you get into September, October, it gets a little chillier depending upon the time of day.
Yeah. So,
Definitely.
but yeah, no, I'm trying to think if there's any other real event. You know, it's funny because this weekend I only had one event. I had the YMCA does a youth and government event once a year, and I've gone every year. And it's this weekend. That's the only event I had on. And needless to say, they've already adjourned it to a later date or whatever. So, fortunately, I'm hoping other people don't have a lot going on and they take advantage of that to stay home. You know, because you know, kidding aside, I know we're talking about snow again or whatever you're calling it, but
Yeah,
you know, these storms can be dangerous. So people really do need to take it
absolutely.
serious. You know, they need to take it serious, and you know, certainly, you know, if you have a generator, you know, you have to make sure it's outside. You don't want any carbon monoxide issues. You know, there are things that happen when these storms hit that we really want people to just take serious. Is I guess is the you know, I mean, I tend to be the first one. We'll be out by Tuesday. What's the big deal? You know, so
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
I have a feeling this storm rises to a different level. At least when I keep looking at the news, it
Yeah.
went from like 6 to 12 to 8 to 14 to 6. I've seen 20 now in estimates. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've been through some blizzards from time to time. I think it was the blizzard of '96, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It's so funny how everybody remembers that. I remember that because I had two little babies, two
Right.
little kids, and I have pictures of them sitting on these snow mounds that were huge. I was like, so yeah, I remember that one too. 96.
Hmm.
That was it. Yeah.
There was this, you know, not to date myself, it's like, you know, in the early '90s, and we all had the muscle cars of the 1970s, saved up enough money for it and everything, just out of high school. And there was this one storm that happened, and again, I'm going way back when, but you know, middle of the night, abandoned parking lot. Let's do donuts. I'll leave it at that. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, so
Yes.
those are fun times, but you know, obviously safety first. Another time I remember, and this is much more recent, and totally an accident. I didn't even realize that this happened. So I'm driving in a snow. I'd say there's maybe about 3 or 4 inches accumulated thus far, and I'm driving down a you know, a rural country road, and the brakes give out.
Yikes.
Yeah, and I don't want to, you know, invoke anything, but I just looked up, let's just say to the ceiling, and I'm like, really? Right now? Are you kidding me? And I was just like, all right, you know, get our way through it, and thank goodness for the emergency brake.
Yep. That's why we have them.
Yes, most definitely. So and here we are talking on Rockland's news,
And there you go.
you know. But yeah,
So
it's pretty interesting how these storms accumulate over time.
yeah. So you know, the towns, just like the state and the county, can declare a state of emergency if it looks like it's going to be, you know, something above and beyond the normal storm. So,
Hmm.
you know, once that happens, and I only learned this because I got to do it during COVID, we declare a state of emergency, and then it allows me to have kind of superpowers.
Right.
I can override laws. And actually, by the end, towards the tail end of COVID, I was really liking it that I could just that I could make my own rules. You know, you know, I could override zoning things and whatever. You know, just if it was, you know, somehow related to justifying for COVID or whatever. So
Right, for
we
the
we
safety of
we
the public, you
we
gotta, yeah.
yeah. So we haven't. My spoke to the town attorney earlier. He's going to have the paperwork ready. We're going to kind of watch and monitor. But if it gets to the point where, you know, we feel it's necessary, then I'm going to have to declare a state of emergency. I believe the state already did. I heard. I don't know if the county has or what they're planning, but just something for people to keep in mind to watch, because they do sometimes. Then, like if the state does it, they could actually like do things on state roads that are different than the normal. So,
Yeah. Let
yeah,
me actually, if you want, I'm gonna go on the Googles, and let's go to our friends
the
over at
Googles,
CBS News.
the Googles.
Yeah, you know. Yes, uh, New York State Governor Kathy Hochul declared state of emergency for impending snowstorm. So yes, we are
Yes.
in a state of emergency at the moment. Yeah, but definitely good to be aware of these things in advance. And I think that you know, elected officials, local government, news agencies, you know, many of them in Rockland, getting the word out there. And of course, everybody will hopefully remain safe throughout.
Yeah, yeah. I recommend you invest in like a nice couple puzzles or games or checkers or something. Find something to pass the time inside, of
Yep.
course, maybe with a hot beverage or, a chilled beverage, whichever your preference is. And yeah, and if you can, stay home. Consider
That-
yourself lucky because our first responders can't. Our police officers have to be out there to deal with the calls, and our plows have to be, guys have to be out there if there's any issues with the sewers. Are they have to come in, so they don't have the luxury of saying they're staying home. So if you have that luxury, take advantage of it.
Awesome. Well, Supervisor Kenny from the town of Orangetown, thank you for being on today.
My pleasure. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you on the other side.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thanks for being on the show today. And our next guest is Town of Clarkstown Supervisor George Holman. George, thanks for being on Rockland's News this afternoon.
Oh, happy to be on, Tom.
Oh, awesome. Good timing. I just had Town of Orangetown Supervisor Teresa Kenny on. She might actually still be on. So I figured we'd have kind of like some fun with this and everybody talk about what's going on, and of course, preparing for the impending snowstorm this weekend. So let me just, because we're doing audio only, hope you don't mind. I'm just going to take everybody's camera items off. And okay, so we're on the show here. We were just talking about that New York State Governor Kathy Hochul announced a state of emergency, courtesy of CBS News. And we also talked about the many, many different preparations that are happening, including salt on the roads, brine, and the maintenance of trucks. So, Supervisor Holman, how's things going over in Clarkstown's neck of the woods?
Well, good, Tom. I had my emergency operation team. We had a briefing with all department heads at 1:15 this afternoon. The police gave an update. The most recent forecast is calling for 15 inches of snow in New City, 12 to 18 across Rockland County. We've got all of our 56 plow routes. The trucks for those are all serviced, loaded with salt, and stored in our facility, ready to go. We have 4 spare trucks. They're all serviced and ready to go. All the additional equipment has been serviced and ready to go, as well as our DFM department. We have over 300 miles worth of town roads, over 50 miles worth of sidewalks. We have 4 bombardiers. They're like little, essentially little tractors that do our sidewalks. So everything's ready to go. We're good to go with that. We've ordered, 3,500 tons of salt, which should be more than enough to get us through the storm. There's salt on back order. They were delivering early this morning. We're anticipating getting some additional salt delivery, but we're confident we've got enough to get us through the pendency of the storm right now. Mm-hmm. And, the other thing is just in anticipation of Monday really not being, great weather. We've canceled our 3 senior club meetings that meet on Monday. We're closing all of our community centers except Street Community Center, which we're going to leave open as a place of refuge and a charging location. God forbid there's power outages. And in addition to that, within the town of Clarkstown, we've canceled garbage and recycling collection on Monday. If you have a Monday garbage or recycling pickup, it will default to your next scheduled pickup day, which is typically Thursday for garbage, and for recycling it'll be the following Monday.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then the last thing I just want to emphasize to folks is the Clarkstown Police, particularly in areas where people are known to chronically park overnight, we are ticketing in those areas. There is no overnight parking in most municipalities during the winter months. Within the town of Clarkstown, I think it's from November 15th through like April 1st, you cannot park between midnight and 5:30 or 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. And so we've issued warnings, but now the police are going to be ticketing throughout the weekend. And the big change is in any area where there's a car that's parked illegally on the overnight hours, if it is impeding snow removal, the police will call and have it towed. So
Mhm.
do not park on any town street overnight during the snowstorm. You will impact the snow removal, and if it becomes a problem, vehicles will be towed by we have tow truck companies ready to go, and vehicles will be towed and impounded. So you don't want to play around with this. We can't have this
Yep.
amount of snow and not be able to clear the streets.
Yeah, and this is
Police are ticketing in the areas where it's been a problem,
uh-huh.
and people run the risk of having their vehicle towed if they park overnight in areas where they're not supposed to be parking.
Yeah, and that's not unprecedented in any way. As a matter of fact, I think about 2 weeks ago, we had one of the newly elected village officials up in Orange County over in the village of Tuxedo. And there was mention at that time that that's basically what the standard is, if you will, that, just definitely do not want to impede the trucks. And there's definitely ticketing involved with that.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So a lot going on. I do want to thank. We had the Journal News came by. They're checking our preparations. Tony Aiello from CBS TV was there. Did a story. On our storm prep. Kind of followed us around the town on a number of things we were doing. It was over at the highway department,
nice.
as well as News 12. So we're going to be active during the course of the storm. We'll be putting out social media updates and alerts throughout the pendency of the storm.
Yep.
I'll be doing some live updates on both News 12 and ABC and likely CBS and NBC as well.
Well, we're going to hold it down on the entertainment end. We're going to put out some videos about various things in hopefully a humorous way, just to kind of, make sure that people are aware. If they're not looking at, serious information, at least they get the understanding from the entertainment side of things.
Yeah. So the only thing I want to really reinforce, Tom, is,
Yeah.
I think people get the point when you have this amount of snow. It's significant. And by the way, in some of our downtown areas, there's going to be so much snow that we're already making preparation to have the highway department come in after the storm is over, most likely in the overnight hours, a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, to remove some of the snow, because the forecast is for it to be fairly cold next week, so we're not going to have a lot of melting, and we can't have mountains of snow, which is going to impede sight lines for folks. So we typically do this in downtown New City. We'll be doing it in New City, West Nyack. We're going to be working with the county because they're county roads in Congers and Nanuet. So we're going to be looking at likely during next week after the storm is over. We'll be going in probably in the overnight hours with crews, with bucket loaders, to literally truck the high piles of snow, because I'm sure if we get a foot of snow or foot or more of snow, there's just going to be too much of it to be safely piled on the near intersections, and we're going to have to remove it fairly quickly, so sight lines are not impacted for public safety.
Sure.
So likely we will be doing that probably Monday night, Tuesday night, depending on depending on the hamlets and how much snow we actually get.
Now, on average, how much overtime? I'm just thinking per individual that's taking the responsibility of clearing the roads and laying down the salt. And it's a supply chain. It really, it's an entire operation that happens. You got people working overnight. I mean, what's it like from that end of the coin?
Well, I can tell you, Tom. I can take this from personal experience from like 30 years ago. I actually, I had actually done snow removal, for a family member who, had a contracting company, a construction company that also did some snow, did snow removal, and so I had done that. I remember back in the 90s when we had a huge blizzard. and doing, assisting because they just needed help. And literally, with the private guys, they'll be going around the clock. We have union rules where there's a mandatory 4-hour break. So our staff can't work more than 16 hours. They must take a break.
Makes
So,
sense. Yeah.
and those are union rules. So, what's going to happen here is once it starts snowing, our guys will be dispatched fairly quickly. Um, they will work straight through, probably, taking a break at some point. So let's just say this starts, Sunday morning, uh, for sake of argument, 7 a.m. By 11 o'clock that night, they're going to have to take a mandatory break.
Hmm.
And so it's going to be difficult. What we try and do is we try and schedule the breaks. Uh, but they'll go out. They will. There's already been brine pre-treated. There'll be some salting,
Right.
and then we'll just try and keep up. Now, literally, it takes up to 4 hours to get, to clear the entire town with a normal snow event, curb to curb. That's not including the sidewalks or what have you. It'll take us days to get through all the sidewalks with this amount of snow.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Supervisor Kenny and I, we were talking about the blizzard of '96.
yeah,
And I think we all remember it pretty well. It's like, that was just huge, like feet of snow. It took
yeah.
days to dig out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what will more than likely what'll happen with this amount of snow? And again, I don't want. I'm trying not to scare folks, but just
No, 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 of course not.
it's a significant amount of snow. This will be the one of the bigger storms we've had in the last 10 years. Very few storms where we've had more than 10 inches of snow. So
Hmm.
right now it looks like it's a pretty safe bet that all the forecasts are kind of dovetailing, and it looks like we're probably going to get a foot or more of snow,
Yep.
and in the Clarkstown area. So that's sizable. Our overtime for that, I mean, our guys are going to be working for days. I mean,
Yep.
they're going to come in and they'll work all the way through Sunday. They'll take a break. They'll be back out. They'll be working again, and then my hope would be that by 10 o'clock on Monday night or so, even let's figure the snow stops, that morning, sometime, mid morning on Monday. We would hope that our guys would be able to go home around 10 or so, and then maybe come back in around 4 a.m. on Tuesday morning to get back at it.
Yep.
And, they'll be working several days, 16 hours a day, probably for the next, from when the storm starts, for at least 3 or 4 days, maybe 5. It depends.
Hmm.
And the problem with that is, and I can tell you from personal experience, from many, many years ago when I was in college, when you're not getting sleep. You're literally taking very short breaks to go use the bathroom and what have you. It's not it's not the greatest work. And while it's overtime, my guys will tell you it's essentially blood money because oftentimes guys will get sick afterwards just because of the lack of sleep, and it's also stressful, to be honest with you, particularly when people are out on the roads or what have you. I mean,
Yep.
and you get 2 inches of snow per hour. It's almost like whiteout type conditions, and they are calling for that as well. So again, we're well positioned, we're well prepared. I believe we've got the best highway department in the county, and if not the region. And we literally have great equipment. We've invested in it. So I think we'll be fine. It's just people need to be patient. They need to stock up and stay off the roads. It's like that old meme or that video, got to go get the bread and milk. Well, hopefully,
We have been watching that all week. I don't
yeah,
know if you saw the one that I loaded up onto,
yeah,
because I'm having fun with this at this point, is me in a cargo plane dumping 1 foot of snow on Rockland, humorously.
yeah,
But then I
yeah,
also add in like, the actual stats, like, what the actual weather is going to be. So,
yeah.
having a little fun with it. I remember, and it's a shame too because we just lost someone I think that you're familiar with is Mark Hannock, who used to be the meteorologist
Yeah.
for WRCR Radio. So and I mentioned at the beginning of the show today, he passed away last week, unfortunately. May he rest.
I had not heard that. I missed that. I'm sorry to hear that. Mark was great.
Yeah, yeah, so we did a little bit of a memorial over here, and I missed it too. The wake and the funeral were last week, so but we wanted to do something for him. But what's funny is that during these times, the days beforehand in preparation, I was the nerd, quote unquote, in the next office over. But I always listened in, and I found it very interesting when the town supervisors used to jump in and talk about all the safety preparations that are happening, and I got to gain an appreciation for it. You know.
Yeah, what also complicates this for us is, as states of emergency are declared. Now it's good. The governor declared a state of emergency for the state, so that actually gives the police additional authority. So we can mandate people staying off the roads based upon the state of emergency. Where that becomes problematic is it can interact with local union rules, and it could actually kick in different clauses within contracts if there's a state of an emergency.
Interesting.
Which can make it more expensive for the local municipality, and frankly for state workers as well, because you immediately get into mandatory overtime and what have you. Not always, but we're not declaring a state of emergency at this point. I mean, we've handled this amount of snow before. Since I've been supervisor, it's again just reality is it's going to be very slow going on Sunday and Monday. Stay home, don't park on the roads, and then just realize that even after the snow is done, the roads may be clear, fairly quickly, but you're going to have issues in parking lots where you're going to have huge mounds of snow. So when you're going into a parking lot in, around the county, you may have sight distance issues. We find that's where more accidents take place.
Of course.
And in our downtown areas, to make sure that we're cleaning those up as quickly as we can. So in a lot of our downtown hamlet centers, we will be, as I said, in the ensuing days, if we get this amount of snow, more than likely we'll be in multiple hamlet centers during the overnight hours, removing snow. And we will literally be trucking it to some of our parks and dumping it probably up at Germans, maybe over at Lake Nanuet, depending on the hamlet centers that we're going to have to clear. Again, remains to be seen how much snow we actually get, but right now it seems a pretty safe bet that all of these forecasts seem to be dovetailing together. So, and the good news is there's a major salt shortage, but we have been pre-ordering salt and we're still due deliveries, but we have more than enough salt to get through this storm.
Gotcha.
I wish we had a little more, and we anticipate we're probably going to get a couple of trucks in before the storm starts. But by and large, we've been able to get a good amount of snow in. And as I said, our trucks and all of our equipment is prepared, so we're ready to go. Tom, I think we're going to be in good shape. But just last reminders to folks. There's no garbage or recycling in Clarkstown on Monday. Don't put your stuff out. Your next garbage pickup day and recycling day will be when the pickup is for anybody that has a Monday pickup. So sorry about that. But just the garbage trucks are not really going to be able to get out and about during a storm of this magnitude, and they're all private carters anyway. That's number one. We're also likely, as I said, we canceled all the senior clubs for Monday. And our mini trans, while we haven't made a determination yet, almost certainly they're going to be on at least a curtailed schedule, if not canceled on Monday. And we'll make that announcement on Sunday. We want to get closer to and we want to get into the storm to see what it's like, just to make sure that the storm doesn't suddenly veer off and we're able to operate. So. But more than likely, the mini trans will be canceled if it's at least at a minimum going to be likely on a curtailed schedule on Monday, for the storm. And as I said, we're pre-positioning police cars, and patrol vehicles when the storm, at the start of the storm, so it'll enable police response. So we're going to be doing that with other equipment as well, and working with our paramedics and ambulances to make sure that they can get out and about. The roads will remain open.
Mhm.
As I said, with this amount of snow, just there's 2 good football games on Sunday.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Stay home, enjoy the games. Make sure you go to the library or the bookstore, get a good book. Do whatever you need to do to maintain yourself at home. And as we kind of joke, make sure you go out and get the milk and bread.
Exactly. And while I have you on, I believe that there was another item that came from the Clarkstown town clerk's office. The town of Clarkstown is now taking wedding bookings for the year ahead.
Yep.
If you're thinking of tying the knot in 2026, Town Supervisor George Holman, who's on the air with us right now on Rockland News, as well as Town Clerk Lauren Marie Wall, announced that couples can now reserve ceremonies at Town Hall or at select scenic outdoor locations. But I believe Valentine's Day, that week has got to be like packed with individuals, right? That want to get
So I really want to commend Lauren, our town clerk. She's done a wonderful job of this. So we made a couple of changes 3 years ago when she took office. She came to me and said, "Hey, what do you think of trying to open this up a little bit?" And frankly, I have to be honest with you, the prior town clerks, the town clerk is designated as a marriage officiant and the marriage officer for the town. I'm also designated as the marriage officer for the town. That's a more recent designation. So we changed that up. I've only done a couple of weddings. I don't typically do them, but the prior town clerks, you would do it after 5 p.m. And under state law, the marriage officiant is able to charge, a reasonable fee. And if it's after 5 o'clock, as a town clerk, as the marriage officiant, they kept the money. And so, frankly,
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no. And so so Laura Marie actually said, "Well, I'm not looking to keep the money for myself." Unlike some of our past town clerks, she said, "Why don't we'll book them?" People often wanted to be married during business hours.
So that they could write it off.
No, seriously, like people would want to get married in the afternoon and then go.
No, I know.
A restaurant or something like that. But basically, what was happening is they were being told, "Well, you got to wait till 5 o'clock," and then basically the clerk would go do the wedding in town hall in the auditorium, and then they would, the fee, the stipend for that would go, would be something that they would charge for under state law. So we changed that up, and so we did hundreds of weddings. Lauren's done hundreds of weddings.
Wow!
Last year, it was $35,000 in new revenue. It's a nominal fee to get married. That we charge.
Right.
What we're actually doing is our DFM staff are creating a little bit of a backdrop. We've got a nice long aisle that you can walk down in the auditorium. We can pipe music in through the speakers, and we're creating an actual set, if you will, like a little archway, and we'll have that ready within the next couple of weeks. And the plan is, like today, I'll give you a case in point. Not only is Lauren's office, she's also the receiver of taxes. Not only are they collecting taxes today and running the office, but she's also got 5 weddings that she's done today.
Jeez.
All in town hall. So like literally, she's popping from her office to do a wedding. She was in the briefing at 1:15 with all the department heads, which was in between weddings. Like literally, she had a 12:30 wedding and a 2 o'clock wedding. So in between weddings, she was doing briefings. But a great job on that. So so we just want to let people know, and so we've had literally hundreds of people get married in the town, and we'll continue to offer that service, and we're expanding it. So please, if you're interested, contact the town clerk's office, contact my office, and we're setting up a system for online bookings so people can register. And as I said, it's also a new source of revenue for the town as well.
Now I have to ask you this, and certainly, and you mentioned that you presided over weddings as well as an officiant. Now, I mean, everybody kind of shows up in their best outfit, be it traditional or non-traditional. Have you ever had anybody show up like in costume, like as Elvis, or I'm just wondering, like, does that ever happen?
So not me personally.
Hmm.
Um, it's not unusual. Like our 9/11 memorial is beautiful in Clarkstown. It's right outside the entrance to town hall, and we have a
Yeah.
beautiful fountain in front of it. And so oftentimes, we'll see folks that want to get married out there, and they're, most often you see, brides coming in a simple, white dress,
Right.
and oftentimes grooms in suits or tuxedos. We've seen some people here in Hawaiian shirts,
That's cool. Yeah.
kind of theme type stuff. I personally, I've only done a handful of weddings as supervisor. Typically, if it's somebody that I know,
Mhm.
but because I really defer it to the town clerk, who does a great job with it. But what I will tell you is, I haven't seen people come dressed up. Although I was told by Lauren, I think she did have a couple of couples that came in kind of thematic attire.
Okay.
So I'll have to ask her what's the most unusual dress up that folks came to get married in. But surprisingly, most of it, from what I've seen, it seems to be very, very traditional dress. And by the way, most of the
Yeah.
folks that
Yeah.
will
Me
do
too.
it, then they'll go to like a a restaurant or a catering hall,
Mhm.
afterwards. Or in some instances, folks are getting married here, and then they're having a religious service, within days or weeks. I did a wedding. I won't mention who, but a couple of folks, from the town,
Mhm.
and they got married civilly, and I performed the ceremony. And then, like 6 months later, they had like a religious wedding ceremony with their families. It's a
Yeah.
second marriage for both.
I
Uh,
understand. Yeah.
So it depends. It runs the gamut. But the point is, we've got services here, an opportunity for people to avail themselves to it, and it's really growing. We're providing a lot of ceremonies, and now we're trying to enhance it to give a fuller experience for people, with like a nice backdrop, for people, an archway for people to be able to, almost like a set,
Right. To
um,
create that, if you will, ambiance and
right.
atmosphere.
And
Yeah.
you're right. Around Valentine's Day, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we had double-digit weddings that take place within the town.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you never want to have as many people as, like, basically the wedding vows end up getting condensed to, well, good luck.
Yeah, yeah. So I
No.
will tell you this. I'll leave you with this, Tom.
Yeah.
I'll get running, but we had a number of media outlets up, and if folks are interested in seeing some of what our storm prep was, we actually had our congressman stopping by, just checking in.
Oh,
Um,
Congressman Waller. Welcome back.
he had popped in when I was over at the highway department, the highway superintendent with our staff, when Tony Aiello came up from CBS. So if you want to get some further information on the storm prep, you can check out CBS TV at 5 o'clock tonight, or their website. And Tony Aiello did a nice story on the storm prep, and I think you'll even see our congressman in some of the shots, who literally he was stopping by Orangetown and here, and I think over in Westchester, just checking in. And I do want to thank Congressman Lawler, because while we're not doing a formal announcement on it, the most recent bill that just passed the House of Representatives had a significant grant for the town of Clarkstown I believe the congressman's putting some information out on it. I don't want to steal his thunder, but
Oh, no worries.
it was a
As a matter of fact,
very significant grant for our Nanuet TOD for
mhm,
infrastructure, sidewalks, and our roads in the Nanuet area.
right.
And very excited about it. It has to still get through the Senate and be signed by the president. But and I would encourage folks check out Congressman Lawler's website, because I'm certain he'll be putting something out in the coming days on it.
Yeah, and I believe that the grant was for $335,000 from the Fed, and then another 1.5 million for also working on streets and highways locally in the town of Clarkstown, if my numbers are correct on
Yeah,
that.
those were two existing grants. This is a whole nother one, Tom,
Oh, it's a separate one.
that the House paid in much larger numbers, but
Oh,
the
okay.
House passed it yesterday. I'd encourage you to check out the congressman's social media or his press office, because at some point I know he'll be putting something out. Went through the
Absolutely.
House.
Yeah,
It's
I
going to be
missed that.
signed by the Senate, but it was just voted on yesterday, and it was a very large allocation from the federal government, multiple millions for downtown Nanuet TOD.
That's great. And I'm headed over to the website. It's lawler.house.gov. In addition to that, the exact web address for the CBS News article, for those of you that are listening in right now, 5 o'clock, Clarkstown Supervisor as well as Congressman Lawler will be on. You can check out the article at cbsnews.com. Click on the search button in the top right-hand corner and just type in Clarkstown, and you'll be able to see that article right from there. Clarkstown Town Supervisor George Holman, thank you very much for taking the time to be on Rockland News today.
Thanks so much. Everybody be safe. Don't park on the streets.
Absolutely. Everybody be safe. And we're just going to thank everybody for joining us on our newscast. And special thanks to our sponsors, Yabu Fence Company, located in West Nyack, New York, Dana Pest Control in Tompkins Cove, New York, Easy Temp for all of your ice machine repairs. We also have Kobe Sushi with the Jazz Music Lounge, music on Wednesdays and Saturday nights, KobeNewsCity.com. Susan Bova, Coldwell Banker Realty, Lauren Molino Muller from Howard Hanna Rand Realty, Whole Shot Bagels in Haverstraw on Route 9W, great wraps over there, 99 Signs, remember a business without a sign is a sign of no business. Get your lawn signs, your billboard signs at 99signs.com. FC Perfection Auto Body Repair, Clean Space Maintenance Management Company, and our sponsors for this year, the New York Boulders baseball team. Thanks for joining us. Be safe.